There once was a Pancake King. He ruled over the lands, which were also made of pancakes and other breakfast foods, with an iron fist. Yet he was a kind king, and he treated all his subjects fairly. But even when with all the power in the world, the king felt lost within himself, and he felt unfulfilled. One day, a revolution began. As the kingdom's people were personally favors of democracy and not a monarchy, but they liked the king, so they didn't want to hurt him. They just politely asked if he would leave the kingdom, which he did. Alone and on the country, he wandered for days, feeding off the bacon trees and pancake plains, until he came across a small abandoned cabin with a maple syrup river running beside it. The cabin was in much disarray, but the king had a liking to it. He he found a memory when he was just a small boy. His grandfather took him here once. It was abandoned then, too. The king got to work, chopped bacon trees and patched holes, collected maple syrup and hardened it as glass for some holes in the house. And before he knew it, it was good as new. He wrangled some breakfast cattle nearby and gave them a little barn outside the cabin. From them he got orange juice and eggs. But of course, the most important part, companionship. He began to grow crops of breakfast foods, waffles, French toast, mini sausages, you name it. One day something peculiar happened. He heard a noise from far past the river. He looked on into the distance and saw what seemed to be another cabin on the horizon. He grabbed his spyglass and looked through which he saw a striking pancake person rocking in a chair on the porch of the faraway cabin. He needed to meet this person, so he set out on the trek to their cabin. He crossed the river and crossed the lands, only with a canteen with some OJ in his hands. The trek took 3 whole days, and eventually he wound up at the cabin, and he introduced himself to the pancake person. They hit it off. They spent the rest of the day together, and when he told them that he had to get back to his cabin, they asked to go with him, as, like the king, they were missing fulfillment and companionship, something both of which found in each other. They pulled together and brought the pancake person's cabin to the Pancake King's cabin. When they got it there, which took double the day's time, meaning they traveled for 6 days straight, but neither of them were complaining. They had each other, after all. But when they got there, they did construction together and merged the two cabins together over the course of the next year, where they spent many a year together. After many years together, the two were sitting together on their porch reading a book, when something peculiar happened. A new crop sprouted out of the blue, a potato crop, which led to more lunch crops like pizza and pasta. Eventually, they had crops of all types of food: fettuccine, mozzarella, pierogies, you name it. They began spreading the new crops across all the land, and all rejoiced. But even with their newfound million-dollar products, the two lived a simple, quiet life together, and they lived together for all time. And they were complete, and they were happy.